One of my big 2024 New Year's resolutions was to simply play more video games. I would now like to take the time to reflect on my 2024 bucket list. I want to see how many of these games did I write down and how many of these games did I actually give a chance. Out of the 37 games I had on my bucket list for 2024, I played 18 of them. So hey, that's just about half of the list. That's not bad at all, especially considering when I started this whole bucket list project, the list of games I had in front of me felt like an insurmountable mountain. And I got to experience some great games this year. So allow me to recap the 18 games I played this year, and we're gonna have a little fun with it. We are gonna rank these games from least to most fun. We're going to do that by ranking the games on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 being no fun, I never want to play this. 10 being verging on addiction levels of fun. Alright, these are the games I played in 2024. Starting with Tony Hawk's American Wasteland. This was the least fun game of the year for me. I give it a 2 out of 10. I didn't even finish the tutorial. Peach Showtime demo left me super underwhelmed. I was excited for the game and then ended up not picking it up. And for that, I consider that demo a failure, and I rank it a 3 out of 10. Jimmy Neutron Attack of the Twonkies for GameCube, 4 out of 10. I played this game because I had a special interest in it. I would not recommend it if you're not a fan of Jimmy Neutron. The more inspired parts of the game come in the second half, which did raise the score for me. We got a bunch of 5 out of 10 games, so let's blast through them. Still, from least to most fun, we're gonna go. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. I think Budokai Tenkaichi 3 is still better, but this was still a solid installment in modern day. Next 5 out of 10 game, we got Paper Mario for the N64. Not a bad game by any means, but this game was definitely more average, middle of the scale, whereas its sequel will be ranking higher in the funness level. Next we have Terraria 5 out of 10, as well as Jedi Knight Academy, 5 out of 10. Tears of the Kingdom, I gave a 6 out of 10. Now, if I had ranked it in 2023, I probably would have given it something more of an 8 or a 9 out of 10. But what I played of this game in 2024 was me kind of wrapping up everything I didn't do, filling out my map of the Grand Underground, and by this point, it was more tedious than fun. The charm of the game had definitely worn off by this point. Still a great game. 6 out of 10 isn't a bad score. We're getting into the range of above average now. And so let's hammer through our 7 out of 10 games. Sakuna of Rice and Ruin, Abzu, Lego City Undercover, and Link's Awakening. All great games, and 7 out of 10 is a score that I would consider being in the recommendation territory. A 7 out of 10 you can easily recommend to the right person. Next we have our 8 out of 10 games, those being Mario Galaxy 1 and 2, as well as Angry Birds. Yeah, I'm putting Angry Birds in the same category as Mario Galaxy, because these are all just competently designed games that really play with physics in a fun and intuitive way. Obviously, it's not a one-to-one comparison. Angry Birds is not Mario Galaxy, unless you want to count Angry Birds Space. But yeah, these are just polished games in their respective niches. Super good. Next game I want to talk about is Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. I gave this a 9 out of 10. Now we're crossing into the realm of this is a gamer's game. I really did have to grit my teeth with this one. But similar to the reason a lot of people love Dark Souls, it was a satisfying and fair level of challenge. And yeah, I just couldn't put this one down. It was a lot of fun, and if you are a fan of challenging games and or games that take place in a mythological setting and or Metroidvanias, I definitely recommend Prince of Persia and the Lost Crown. Finally, we have my game of the year, Sonic Frontiers. Just kidding. We're actually not going to rank Sonic Frontiers, even though I did play it this year. I'm not going to give this one a score because it is still too early to tell on this one. And Sonic Frontiers will be the first game that I sink my teeth into in 2025. So for real this time, my game of the year, which I scored at a 10 out of 10 fun game, was Paper Mario and the Thousand-Year Door. This game just does everything that Paper Mario does well and does it even better, does more on top of that base formula that the first game established. It has some of my favorite characters I've ever met in a video game, one of my favorite worlds, and the battle system felt fresh throughout the whole game, which is paramount in a good RPG. This game used to be hard to track down because GameCube games are super expensive to collect, and this is considered one of the greatest games of all time. So it's super awesome that we got a remake on the Switch. I just love that it's more available now in modern day, on one of Nintendo's best-selling consoles. Paper Mario and the Thousand-Year Door, more than any Nintendo game, I feel like, deserves this kind of love and exposure. Alright, so those were the games that I played in 2024. What about the 19 games that I didn't play? I decided to take a close look at my 19 remaining games and decide which one of those I still really wanted to play. These games will be the start of my 2025 bucket list. Oh yeah, the bucket list project ain't over yet. So before we get to my 2025 bucket list, let's talk about the 9 games I decided to drop that I didn't get around to in 2024, and I've decided I don't want to keep them on my bucket list. We got Bionicle for GameCube. I picked that up because it was for a good price at the local game store I go to. I used to play with Bionicles as a kid, but out of all the games I'm trying to catch up on, that one definitely is less priority. With the right friend, I think this game would definitely be a hit, but as of right now, I think it just makes sense to drop it from the list. Same with Skyward Sword HD and Force Unleashed. The Switch version specifically. I've been wanting to make a video where I compare the Wii and Switch versions of Force Unleashed and The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. Talk about how the motion controls transfer to modern day from the Wiimote to the Joy-Con, and also just talking about the new button controls included in each of these titles. I thought it would be a really interesting video, but also it'll take a lot of work. And ultimately, I've already played Skyward Sword and The Force Unleashed. In the case of The Force Unleashed, I've actually played the Switch version already as well. So yeah, those games are a well-trodden path for me. I still think it would be a cool video to make. But if I'm committing to this bucket list project, I think re-engaging with those games would just be too much work right now. We're also going to drop Legend of Zelda Spirit Tracks from the bucket list. I have a lot of Zelda games that I'm going to be adding to the bucket list, and this one is definitely a lesser Zelda title, so probably shouldn't be taking priority. I'm going to drop Fire Emblem Engage, going to drop Baldur's Gate 3, and I also said I was going to 100% my files of Mario Odyssey, Mario Wonder, and Sonic Adventure 2, but with those 100%ings, I'm just not as passionate about doing that anymore. And they're not really like bucket list items. They're like, I want to revisit these games I've played a lot and 100% them. It's kind of a different thing. They were on my 2024 bucket list, and to keep things simple, I'm just gonna strike them from the 2025 bucket list. So now, kicking off the 2025 bucket list are the 10 leftovers I chose to keep from 2024's bucket list. Those titles being Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 4 Remake, Pikmin 1 through 4, The Legend of Zelda The Wind Waker, Nier Automata, big fan of Platinum Games, Super Paper Mario, and Paper Mario and the Origami King. So those 10 are kicking things off. I then have 45 new games that I want to add to my bucket list, bringing in a total of 55 games that I want to play in 2025. Whoa boy. These games that I'm adding to this year's bucket list are classic titles that make you go, what? Hero, how haven't you played that? As well as games I got on a good sale, as well as games in my collection that have been sitting collecting dust. And finally, a couple of 2025 releases, because let's be real, I'm the type of gamer who 95% of new video games pass me by. I do not play them at release, unless it's like a big new Nintendo title. So if we're being real here, a lot of the new games that I'm anticipating in 2025 will probably pass me by and end up on my bucket list anyway, so I'm just going to proactively add them. Take a big sip of seltzer here, and I am just going to hammer through this list of 45 games, no explanation. And if there's a game I read off in this list that piques your interest, it's your job in the comments to let me know and recommend I play that one. I will take requests. Okay, let's do this. Ooh. The 45 new games I am going to add to my 2025 bucket list is Pac-Man World Repack, Donkey Kong Country, Donkey Kong Country 2, Donkey Kong Country 3, Luigi's Mansion 2, Luigi's Mansion 3, WarioWare Smooth Moves, WarioWare Move It, Game and Wario, WarioWare Gold, The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, Super Metroid, Metroid Zero Mission, Metroid Samus Returns, Metroid Prime 2, Metroid Prime 3, Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Trilogy, that's 3 games, Sonic X Shadow Generations, Sonic Forces, Sonic Unleashed, Spyro, Spyro 2, Spyro 3, Crash Bandicoot, Crash 2, Crash 3, Cult of the Lamb, Prince of Persia, Sands of Time, Portal 1, Portal 2, Ninja Fishing, Guacamelee, Undertale, and Bastion. Woo! Oh wait, shoot. I meant to also mention the 5 games coming out this year, which is Civilization 7 coming out February 11th, Xenoblade X coming out March 20th, Fantasy Life I, The Girl Who Steals Time, coming out in April at some point. Metroid Prime 4 is coming out sometime this year, and Pokemon Legends ZA also coming out at some point this year. That's a lot of games to play, so what am I doing here still yapping? I'm gonna go get to editing, and while I'm doing that, make sure to hop in the comments and let me know which games you'd like to see me play in 2025. Doesn't even have to be one that I mentioned. If there's a game you really think I'd like, let me know. Also, let me know if you got this far by liking the video, subscribe if you haven't, and that'll do it for me. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to stay super.